My name is P J McCamphill. I'm from a wee place called Dunloy in County Antrim. I have spent over 20 very happy years in Africa as a Kiltegan missionary priest, and I'd like to introduce you to a few of my friends who still live and work there. More often than not, what you see about Africa on TV is about poverty and famine and disease and massacres, etc. I hope this video will give you a more balanced picture of ordinary life as led by a variety of very vibrant and very lovable people. Let me start with a friend of mine called Benny Bohan, who's from Kilbeggan in County Westmeath, as he has a wee bit of banter with a few friends of his in Zambia.
I'm with Zambia, and I'm with Sailor, I'm with Black Makatia. Yes.
So where do you sail?
So I sell different types of shoes.
Oh, sell.
Yes.
Oh, you sell. You're a seller. I see. I thought he said he was a seller.
What kind of seller are you talking about?
Lake Tanganyika on the Bahari on the ocean. No, he's a seller.
With Benny is Frankie McAuliffe, who's from Kilrush in County Clare.
Every weekend I spend my time in a very unusual kind of a place, in the maximum security prison here in Zambia, where I minister to those who are in death row and those who are in for very long sentences. I must say the first time I went in I was absolutely frightened, absolutely scared. Because in my view, these people, you know, they were all criminals, and I was afraid to go around, and every time they looked at me, I thought they were going to kill me or something. But after a while, though, you get so used to them, you feel very, very much at home with them. I think the reason is really that they appreciate so much the fact that a priest, really, and the only outsider almost that they ever see, especially those in condemned section, and they're enormously appreciative of that. And in fact, I think I never feel safer anywhere in Zambia safer than I do in the condemned section.
Tell me, how long were you in maximum security prison?
I stayed for 16 years, 8 months.
16 years?
Yes.
And 8 months?
Yes.
And what's it like to come out?
Yeah.
After all those years?
Yes.
How did you find your home?
The home is quite different.
Kieran Murphy from Wexford Town explains to us the challenge that faces anyone who comes to live with the people in a country that's new to him.
Well, the biggest struggle we have is definitely the language. Shona is very widely spoken by everybody. You won't hear English being spoken among themselves. So if we're going to be effective, we have to learn the language. And it's a struggle. We spend a while when we come out first in language school, but then we have to go out and use the language and just work at it and keep using it, and slowly it comes to you and you begin to get a little bit more at ease with it. And the people, I must say, are very understanding. They know it's a struggle for us and they accept that fully.
So how was it for Cathal Moriarty from County Cork when he first arrived?
I must say I found that a very difficult time, trying to cope, trying to learn the language. And but now, 2 years down the road, I feel, yes, I have learned the language pretty well, and it's great to be able to go out among the people and to be able to understand and to be able to relate to them, to engage them in conversation. When I have the language now, I feel I'm part of the people here, that I am one of them.
You don't have to be there very long to realize that singing and dancing are very close to the African soul. Brendan McDonough from Ballyfarnan in County Roscommon explains.
Dancing is very much part of the local culture here, the people. Their lives revolve around rhythm and drums.
In between enjoying these occasions of song and dance, Brendan McDonough is kept very busy in his parish.
There's one major activity that we have in progress here at the moment, and it's teaching people to at least write their names. It's very simple. It's amazing the number of people who come to our mission here who cannot even write their name. So we're doing the very basics with people, trying to teach them, because you can know how embarrassing it is if you go into an official office and that you can't even write your name. So that's one main activity that we're trying here. It's about 60 to 65% of people who cannot read or write in this parish.
Brendan McDonough is a man who is very conscious of preserving the environment for future generations.
Soil erosion is another huge problem, because people use fertilizer and they use all sorts of chemicals, and they never think of putting anything back into the soil. So there is one particular type of tree which has a function of putting nitrogen back, which is a natural, putting something back naturally into the soil. And the leaves can be ploughed in, etc., etc. So we're trying to teach people to get away from fertilizers, get away from chemicals, and try and use natural methods.
And of course, Brendan does whatever he can to help the health of the people in his area.
Well digging is also an important activity. Clean water is so important for good health. So what we try and do, we try and teach people how to maintain existing wells. And it's quite a lot of work, because it involves digging down maybe 13 meters deep and putting concrete rings in so as the clay will not fall back in. It's simple, but still it's important for health reasons.
Dublin man Pat McCallion may never win the Isle of Man TT, but he does spend a lot of time on his motorbike. He explains why.
When I was down in Enchanted parish, we had 14 churches altogether in Enchanted parish. And coming from Ireland, where the parish is generally a one-church parish, certainly from Dublin city situation, I thought this was enormous. 14 churches, how do you cope? We cope anyway with the help of a motorbike. And all our work basically in this mission and in this diocese, a lot of us, we wouldn't survive without the motorbike.
Being a man who loves gardening, Pat McCallion is very happy in his present parish up in the fertile hills in Malawi.
It's a great pleasure when you're doing all your own growing and vegetables and that in town, and the only vegetable I ever really have to buy is the potatoes. But other than that, everything else we grow here and provide ourselves. Plus we have our own hens for eggs and things like that.
His last parish, though, down in the heat of the valley, was quite different.
During that time at Enchanted, well, we got caught up in a very severe drought. Was one of my main memories of my time there in 1992, and we had many problems, and most of our time tended to be concentrated in food relief and assisting people medically and whatever we could do and whatever was available for us to do.
Young boys in Malawi practice their football skills in the space outside their house before graduating to slightly better conditions in the schoolyard. And you know, the way that African nations are coming on in football, someday these young lads might replace Roger Miller as a World Cup star. With Pat McCallion is John O'Donovan from Skibbereen. He is very happy with recent political developments that have taken place in Malawi.
It's a good time to be here in Malawi. Last year they had elections Last year, the democracy took a new turn in Malawi. People are happy. People are proud of what they've done. People are hopeful. So it's good. I'm part of that, and so it's good time for me to be here and to be with people as they deal with that, and to deal with the advantages that come with it, and the responsibilities that come with it as well.
And what about the religious side of the African people's lives? Frank Taylor from Dublin explains.
The people really want us, and they want to hear the word of God, and they want to know more about Christ and about God's love for them. And this is our main reason for being here, to preach the good news and to give people new hope. You know, Africa has had a bad time in the press. People think Africa is a terrible place, but really they're wonderful people, and it's a great experience to be here among them, to work with them, to share their lives, and to feel part of what's going on, and to be able in some small way to contribute to the development of the people here.
One of the best known contributions of missionaries over the years has been in education. It's still one of the priorities for Mick Long, who's from County Tipperary.
Because of the crisis in education, we kind of feel that the people least likely to get an education would be the orphan children or the children of one-parent families. And so we rented a bar near in the compound. It was the only accommodation we could find. And at present we have about 150 children in that bar.
Unfortunately, as we all know, local wars are displacing very many people throughout Africa. Those people need help too, as Mike Fogarty from County Kilkenny explains.
I went out to Mozambique, South Africa, to work for 3 years with refugees who were running from the war in that country, and I was coordinating the relief and development scheme in a so-called homeland in South Africa called Gazankulu. While there, I saw that the needs of the people were met on a material level, but I found that the people were looking for something more. And it was only later that I could see that something more was something on a spiritual dimension. And I discovered that you have to cater for people on both levels.
Mick Bennett from RD in County Louth explains how he became attracted to this type of life while he was working in a bank in Ireland.
At that stage I was a young person having a lot of fun, life was good, and yet there was something else happening within me that even to this day I find it very hard to put my finger on. There was a kind of restlessness, a longing for something more, a desire to give my life to something that I believed was very worthwhile. There was a growing attraction for the missionary priesthood that remained with me for 3 years or more. I was 3 years in the bank. And it wouldn't go away. I wished it would. I wished it would leave me alone, but it wouldn't. It stayed with me. And in the end I said, oh look, I'll have to do something about this, talk to someone about it and see what's it all about. So I did, and I got encouragement to give it a go, in a sense, to start off in Kiltegan, which had missionary people working in Africa and South America, etc. So I did start, and I'm still here, many years later. 25 years later, is it? Yes.
And what has it been like for a young man in Malawi, a young man like Martin Smith from Dublin?
I'm very contented, I'm very satisfied with my vocation here. And it's the kind of a vocation where you have many different things to do. You know, you're not just, if you like, a sacramental priest, but you're also involved in development, maybe in building, in counseling, of course in the sacraments. my biggest kind of reason for being here is to be with the people, to be where they are at, in their difficulty, in their poverty, in their suffering, in their joys also, because the people here, they like to express their joy a lot. So it's a very interesting life.
So there you are, some of my friends who live and work in Africa. As you have seen, we are very much part and parcel of the daily lives of ordinary people there. I must say, I've enjoyed my time there very much. I have been enriched by the deep friendship of the people, and I hope that I have enriched other people's lives too. If you thought that you might like it, we'd be very happy to hear from you. You might become like us, enchanted by Africa.
Sembula we, sembula we tu, sisi sote